Hey y'all, quick note. While My Hero Academia was created for kids, this podcast is not safe for work or children. All trigger warnings and spoilers for each episode can be found at our website, myheroanalysis.com. Thanks for listening.
Hey y'all, this is My Hero Analysis, a podcast about My Hero Academia, aka Boku no Hero Academia. We are three grown adults who mine Japanese children's cartoons for serotonin because God knows our brains aren't making it naturally.
Hello everyone, I'm Fern. Just so people know, we're recording this end of February 2022. So nobody's doing great.
Nope, not at all.
But you know, sometimes the macro is out of your control. So you just focus on the micro and you take care of yourself and your family and your loved ones. And sometimes that means making a ridiculous little podcast with your best friends. So this is the only thing keeping us together right now.
Yes, it is.
For me.
Yes, no, seriously, same for me. And hi, this is Nicole. I actually had my therapy appointment this week, and I was telling my therapist, like as part of me managing my anxiety about everything, I have to keep reminding myself that everything else is out of my control. I can only take care of myself. So yes,
yep.
just internalize that, everyone.
Yeah, I can only imagine what's going to be going on when this episode is finally released.
Oh God, no.
So yeah, just hold on to that, listeners.
Yeah, I don't even want to think about the future. It is right now. I can only handle the next hour. And in the next hour, I am recording and then taking a shower and then whatever else is up to the universe.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Hey everyone, it's Maria. I have been dying, literally and figuratively. So I've been neither the macro nor the micro have been really good for me this week.
Oh, honey.
I'm fine. I'm better. I went to Chicago to visit Fern, and that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was delightful.
But then the universe was like, fuck you in particular.
Oh, no.
And I got like a cold that literally knocked me out for 4 days straight.
Mm-hmm.
I'm better now, but I'm slightly less dying.
Yay.
Oh man, your immune system just hates you.
It really, really does.
Oh, you poor thing. But really, the phrase "slightly less dying" is just what we can all hope for at this point in the world.
I know.
Oh, yeah. We laugh to keep from crying. Anyway.
Yep.
So this week we're covering episode 7 of season 2, the title of which is "Victory or Defeat," and oh, babe.
The defeat by the
right now
system.
We're leaning towards defeat. But the manga chapters are chapters 33 and 34. And so I'll be leading us through a brief synopsis, then hand it off to Nicole for discussion topics, manga differences, and Easter eggs. So let's just, jump right into this thing. We get the usual intro, the credits, the recap. The first round of the final competition of the sports festival is Izuku versus Shinso. And Shinso goads Izuku into speaking by insulting Ojiro, which lets Shinso's quirk take effect.
Yep. And it's a very tense moment for the battle. But also, can we talk about Denki being literally thigh to thigh with Bakugo? These blonde goobers, I swear to God, they're my favorite.
Yeah, just imagine extrovert Denki just determined to adopt introvert Katsuki and just following him all around the arena.
It's so cute, and it doesn't work, but also it does work, and it's beautiful. And also, hey, Miss Joke, we will meet you later.
Yes, we will. So President Mike reacts to Izuku being frozen with very exaggerated surprise. And is always like, okay, this is why the entrance exam is stupid. It favors physical attack quirks exclusively. So nobody knew how awesome Shinso was before this moment.
Yeah, exactly. And my husband is like always right. He knows immediately that Shinso's quirk is very powerful, but as one non-flashy quirk user to another, he sees that like whole struggle going on with Shinso. But also, more importantly, how dare Shinso comes from Nabu Middle School. I had to pause and yell at my computer looking at that. I was like, no, he did not. But he did, and I'm mad.
I hope you never stop reacting like that.
I will never.
Every time.
Me too. I love it. But honestly, this just goes back to like how schools will favor sports clubs over intellectual clubs, and this happens in the U.S., but it also happens in a lot of other countries.
Oof.
Yep.
How dare?
So
Flashbacks. Right. How dare?
Yep.
So Shinso orders Izuku to walk out of bounds, which is one of the ways that Shinso will win the competition. And so Izuku starts to walk, but he's doing it very slowly. Is this a sign of Izuku's strong will, or is this Shinso's quirk being somewhat underdeveloped?
Both. Both is good.
I agree.
I think I'm leaning that way too. And now it's time for a Shinso quirk breakdown. And as usual, I'm going to hand it off to Nicole because I don't want to do that.
Yeah. And I don't know if you planned for this, but I put like a whole block of text. So let's just dive right in and see if I can read this block of text without losing my spot. Okay.
Go
You
for
just
it.
do them so well. Like you're so good at
I
them.
agree.
Well, thank you. Okay. All right. So for Shinso's quirk, we don't learn the full scope of what his brainwashing quirk it like does, other than it relies on others engaging with Shinso's verbal/heard questions. So basically he can control you physically if you answer his question at this point. Of course, down the line, as folks who are current on both the manga and the anime know, that'll develop, but we're not there yet. But at this point, it does also raise questions about consent and how communication is wired deeply into the brain, and also how those two are also connected to quirks, because it affects Shinso's quirk, but it also affects passing down one for all. So there's like a whole can of worms. I don't know what the phrase is because I'm there's just so much going on. But basically we don't know what his quirk can really do until we also dive into One for All and how it works in later seasons.
Yes.
And like most of that is also fan speculation, because even at this point, we still have not gotten a real deep dive into his quirks mechanics. Much like other like non-flashy quirks, like we kind of know how Aizawa's works. We just kind of know how these like non-elemental quirks work. And up until now, he hasn't really had the chance to really train his quirk because he needs willing subjects. And like folks don't want to do that because, I mean, who wants to give away their willpower? And also who wants to engage with a person who is prejudiced against because of his villain seeming quirk? So he's got everything working against him. And also it doesn't work on non-humans. So he can't do anything unless he has engagement from other people. So he's just been fighting an uphill battle his entire life. And by entire life, I mean his entire childhood. This poor child.
That was amazing. Do you see my point?
No, I don't. I just rambled for what felt like 20 minutes, and it was really
perfect.
No, you did it. You did the thing.
Thank you. And you did it super well.
Thank you. I had to take a drink. My throat. Okay.
So yeah, Shinso has control over Izuku. Izuku's fighting against it. Meanwhile, Toshi's freaking out. Izuku's also freaking out. He's fighting the quirk as hard as he can. And then we get a flashback to Ojiro giving Izuku a breakdown of how Shinso's quirk works, as far as Ojiro knows, and warning him not to respond to Shinso no matter what. Like,
fail.
And Ojiro also notes that some kind of shock can jolt you out of it because he got hit by another person during the competition, and that allowed him to resurface out of the mind control.
Yeah, and I have many thoughts about that to discuss in the discussion session. Section. I need to sit down. Okay, but I have thoughts, and we're all going to go on that roller coaster when we get there.
Yes, I'm so excited. So then we cut out of the flashback back to Izuku, who's still freaking out, fighting Shinso's brainwashing. But then he sees these shadow people standing behind Toshi. And the shadow people somehow give him a power boost that activates One For All in his hand and breaks his fingers. So he snaps out of the brainwashing just before he goes out of bounds. It's very dramatic.
Yes, very dramatic. And also, like, isn't this the point where everything's a rainbow? And like,
oh yes.
Oh yeah.
Okay. They're so rainbow.
Yes, so rainbow. We have thoughts about that too. Anyway, I do like that he's like thinking of everyone who has helped him up to this point, watching him, and then those shadow people appear. It's a very interesting connection. Again, I have many thoughts that we are going to discuss later. And also, like in the dub, Izuku says that he activated One For All, but the shadow people moved his fingers. And I don't think anyone really knows who's doing what, because when we get to the manga differences, there's differences there too. So like nobody really knows what's going on, but it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, I don't think Izuku knows what's going on either. Poor baby.
I mean, does he ever? I mean, he got that from All
That's
Might.
a resolute no.
So now that Izuku's broken out of his brainwashing, it's Shinso's turn to freak out, and he tries to goad Izuku into responding again, but Izuku, for once, isn't falling for it this time, and the situation turns into a physical fight, which Izuku wins!
Yay! And he does it like exactly as Aizawa predicted. He is such a good teacher.
Yes, I completely glossed over that, but there's a point where Aizawa takes a look at both Izuku and Shinso, and he says that Izuku's physical tests, even not accounting for the quirk, are still higher than Shinso's. So if it comes to a physical fight, Izuku's probably going to win. And he did.
Yep.
So then we get another flashback to Shinso in middle school. He's bullied because of his quirk, treated like a villain, and he wants to prove everyone wrong by becoming a hero.
Yeah, poor good boy Shinso. Like all he wants is to become a hero. Even before that facet of wanting to prove everyone wrong came in, like he's just always wanted to be someone to help others. And also the voice actor like did not even try not to have such a deep voice for preteen Shinso. So like, sir, honey. Okay.
Yeah, I'm definitely thinking that's connected to his quirk somehow, because he's a small child with like incredibly deep vocal cords.
Oh, I didn't even think of it that way. Okay, I'm not mad anymore. I like that.
So then we cut back to the arena, and Shinso is just crushed that he lost. But then his friends in the general studies course are like super supportive. They're very good beans, and they're like, shouting encouragement to him from the stands. So clearly he's in with a much better group than he was in middle school. Thank God. And the crowd is also impressed, and they're on Shinso's side. So Shinso resolves not to give up on his dream.
Yeah, it is such a good moment. And also like one of Izuku's true quirks, this one being empathy, comes out when he asks why Shinso wants to be your hero. And Shinso says, you can't help what your heart longs for in the dub. And like, he's ambitious and he knows what he wants, but also gay. So
Yearning is always gay, no matter what.
Yep. And also like in that moment, we get a scene it's like a second where we go to Katsuki and he recognizes the same throw that Izuku used on him in their first fight back in season 1. And Denki does too, because he's smart. He's just not book smart. It's fine. And then like Denki's face when Katsuki tells him to shut up, I cackled for like 5 whole minutes. Also, crowd shot. There are 2 people who like are wearing helmets, and the only thing I could think of is that Daft Punk making a cameo?
Oh my god.
Poor Koshi, please, sir. Stop.
I always thought that Sarah's helmet looked a little Daft Punkish.
Okay, yeah, I can see that too. But the fact that it was like 2 people with the helmets,
Yeah.
sir.
Daft Punk is forever.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, and then after Shinso's nice little uplifting moment, we get this very funny little moment where Shinso's like, I'm coming for you, so don't fuck it up. And Izuku just keeps responding to things Shinso is saying, and Izuku keeps brainwashing him over and over. It's just, Izuku, you sweet, trusting boy, you never learn. But also, I wonder what Shinso thought of that interaction.
He also thought,
Izuku's
oh,
so sweet and trusting.
Yeah.
He is.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Oh, these boys.
I know.
Oh god.
Oh, honey, I'm so
Every
sorry.
time I laugh, there's a possibility of it turning into a cough.
Oh,
Oh
We're good.
How are we supposed to do a comedy podcast when viruses are in your chest? You poor thing.
It's okay. I need a recovery girl.
no! You do.
Yes.
Yes. Speaking of which, thank you for that beautiful segue.
You're welcome.
So then we cut to Recovery Girl's office and she heals Izuku and then like totally lectures Toshi for putting him under so much pressure. And Izuku tells Toshi about the shadow people because he thinks he cheated somehow because of course he did. But Toshi's like, no, that's just a one for all thing. Like you can't interact with each other. So don't worry, you didn't cheat. And we learn later that he's very wrong. But like, we'll get to that later.
We will get to that. Also, in the dub, Toshi's line is spooky. I'm a ghost. And like, sir,
Yeah.
I love you.
I forgot to mention one of the specters looks like Toshi, even though he's still around. So
yes, it's like one of the shadow people like came over him where he was leaning in from the hallway. Also like a goober. He's just peak himbo in this episode. Also, I do want to point out that Izuku is like not concerned, at least not out loud, about cheating in the dub. So that was just like an interesting little elimination.
Huh.
Like, what? Why? I don't know.
yeah, I can't remember exactly how he phrased it in the sub. All of my
Yeah.
quotes
I can't
are paraphrased.
Yeah.
Also, Recovery Girl just hitting Toshi for putting too much pressure on Izuku is well deserved. Someone has to keep him in line.
Yeah,
Yes.
for real.
Absolutely. So then we cut to Shoto, who runs into Endeavor on the way to his own fight. And Endeavor is, he's just gross. Okay. He's just gross. I don't want to spend more time on him than I have to. And he's all like, you're going to have to use your fire, my fire. He calls it my fire. Fucking, sorry. He's like, you're going to have to use my fire if you're going to win. And you're not going to get very far with just your mom's power. And Shoto's like, hey, fuck you, dad.
Yep. Fuck you, Endeavor. And in the dub, Endeavor calls him a masterpiece. Like, what? You gross eugenics bitch. Just die. Oh, so much angst in this moment. And also, in the dub, they also don't like directly mention Shoto's mom. So like, it's like this episode in particular is like removing a lot of the little tiny subplots, and I'm mad about it. How dare?
Well, again, that might have been paraphrased. I can't remember how they said it in the sub. I'm sorry.
There was in the sub, masterpiece was mentioned.
Okay.
But also, fuck him. But when I wrote these notes, I was like, I'm too tired to go on about him.
Yes. Just fuck him into eternity and die.
Yes.
God, he's so gross. So the next battle is Sero versus Shoto. And Sarah, my God. Sero.
Gender bent Sarah.
I know. Sero tries a surprise attack to defeat Shoto early before he can do something cool, which smart, actually, not a bad strategy.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, it's Shoto. So he just creates this massive ice wall that's like the size of the arena because fuck you, Dad. Mom's power is plenty strong. And Sero is just completely immobilized, which is one of the ways that you can win the competition. So Shoto wins.
The drama of that just entire glacier out of nowhere, and everyone is so hilariously shooketh. I'm so glad they took the time to show everybody's utter shock.
Yes.
Hilarious.
Oh yeah. And Sarah was just an icicle.
Poor boy.
Guy. Yeah, no, seriously, Shoto just creates like, it's basically a glacier. It's the size of a glacier.
Yep.
Like, it's enormous. It's so extra. I love this child so much.
Yes, he's so extra. That's perfect for Shoto.
Uh-huh. And then, of course, he goes back to his usual kind of, low energy self. And Shoto apologizes to Sero and unfreezes him. And Izuku notes that Shoto looks sad, even though he just won.
Poor thing. And also, like, in this moment, I feel like the icy hot tape ship sailed. So, like, everyone is just pairing up in this arc. It's great.
Yep. So that's it for the episode. Nicole, take it away with discussion topics.
Yes, we just flew right through that. All right. So we are going to start with the massive ass chip on Aizawa's shoulder about physical and non-physical quirks.
Yes, his anger at like the entrance exams, the way they're biased towards certain quirks, fully justified. But I really love that he's fueling that bitterness into helping future students. Just, what a good dad. He's such a good dad.
He's such a good boy. And like, he's saying a big fuck you to like the hero industry in general also. And it's like a big mental health metaphor kind of there. It's like where even if you are not in the best mental space, because Aizawa is not, homeboy needs to go to therapy. You can always—
Everybody needs therapy.
Yes, literally everybody in this show. But essentially, you can always make good out of something bad, like when you have the spoons to do so. So like, such a good role model if he would just go to therapy himself, sir. All right. So our next point is jokes dig at UA. And if you somehow don't know who all the characters we're referring to are, thank you for listening, but also how. So basically, we say joke and miss joke. She's a character that we meet in like next season, I think, but she cameos here at the sports festival.
So we know who she is.
Yes, and it's great.
So after the aftermath of Shinso and Izuku's fight, when we pan to the crowd and see that they're all on Shinso's side, this joke mentions that if they passed up a quirk as good as Shinso's and put him in the general studies course, then that's kind of a bad look for UA. And then another guy backs her up. But then he also mentions that that's just what happens when you have a fuckload of applications and like awesome people are just going to get passed up. And just the real world parallels. I can't.
Yeah, we literally can't right now. Like he even says like he fell through the cracks, and like that just hurts every part of my soul.
Oh yeah. Especially like finding a job and applications and all of that. Like now I realize now that I sit like right next to my boss, just how many people just like they look good, but they're not good enough. And you're just like, whoa.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. It's like how can everyone be shiny when no one is shiny? Because everyone's shiny. And it's just bad. Why did I think of The Incredibles in that moment?
The Incredibles is always movie, relevant.
Yeah, that's true. Especially this, like there are definite similarities we should probably dive into in the future. But right now, we we have to talk about the Spectres.
The Spectres! The gay rainbow space powers! Yes,
gays win forever. Okay. Okay. We are.
Oh, wait, hold on 1 second. Maria's coughing.
Oh no. She just got swept away with the specters.
Yeah, I hadn't read up until this point because, like, at some point I just died while
Yep.
doing the notes, and I didn't realize this.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, honey.
The gay rainbow specter power.
That's what they are. I stand by it.
Go back and watch the episode. It's literally just a big giant rainbow. It's a metaphor. We can't conceive of what the metaphor is for, but it's gay. So it's there.
No, I just meant in the notes. I didn't read this in the notes. I saw it in the show, but like for some reason I just skipped over gay rainbow space powers.
To be fair though, when you tried to do these notes, you were pretty ill. So
You were very
okay.
ill.
Yeah.
Like, listeners, if you think she's bad now, you should have seen her earlier this week. Like,
Yeah.
it was
It was bad.
It was not good.
All right. Well, other than like the gays winning forever part of the gay rainbow specters, like the introduction of the specters is like a big moment. And we're going to talk about it a little more down in the Easter eggs section because it comes into play a lot more later, not so much in this episode. But it also like raises questions about consent, both from Shinso and from the specters, like who was doing what action. And it also raises questions about like where the soul and like your identity and end and begin when it comes to quirks, and like just so much gay galaxy brain right now. I can't even. It's awesome. I love being overwhelmed by story. Anyway, I can't wait until we get to One for All's True Mechanics, if y'all couldn't already tell.
If we ever get them.
I'm
He may
excited.
not ever fully explain
know.
them.
No, they're fully explained. We just don't know the exact history with like the first three people. Like,
Oh, I understand what you're saying now. I thought you meant you couldn't wait for it to happen, but you
No.
meant until we got to that part in the manga. Okay,
yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's okay if some things are left a little shady because we can fill in the blanks because that's what we do to get serotonin. But like, I want to get there. I want to talk about it. All right.
Hold on 1 second. I need to blow my nose.
All right. So our next discussion point is Shinso's comments about Izuku being privileged while they're fighting.
Yeah, during the fight, Shinso is trying everything he can to get Izuku to speak again because he broke out of the brainwashing the first time. And one of the comments he makes is that Izuku is privileged and that he has no idea what it's like to struggle the way that Shinso does, which we know is completely incorrect.
Yep.
But Shinso doesn't know Izuku. And also sometimes your own struggles just make it really hard to see other people's struggles.
Exactly. And Fern put that so succinctly, and I just put like another whole essay. So sorry, not sorry. Let's go for this ride.
Yes, let's do it.
All right. So one of the lines in the dub from Shinso is, if you know what you want your future to hold, you can't worry about what other people think. So this it basically encapsulates Shinso's struggles and how it makes him essentially ignorant of other people's struggles. And it's also exactly what Bakugo's mindset is as he's starting his hero journey. He just does not have like the tools to voice it so succinctly. And he also fears the vulnerability that comes with voicing his thoughts. And like, same, bro, same. It's okay. We'll get there. And like when you have those ambition blinders on and you're doing everything you can to protect yourself, you can just hurt others. And we see that with Bakugo and with Shinso. And it's just perfectly three-dimensional character development right there.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yep. Also, it's like, it's also so interesting. And listeners, one day I will come up with a better word and other words for interesting, but my brain is just overflowing. So it's interesting that we see Shinso seeing the quirk as a blessing gifted by genetic destiny. So like he sees these other flashy elemental quirks, for lack of a better word, as a blessing, whereas what he got is just not that sort of blessing. And also Izuku also sees it as a blessing, but one that's like gifted by other people. So like in this moment, you can really expand it out to see that it's never easy for people to reach their goals, even when it looks like it is. You always see the visible success of like a person's final moments of driving towards their goals, but also that like visible success is always the very tip of an iceberg, and underneath it, under the water, if you will, there's like a massive amount of struggle. Unless, of course, you have nepotism, white privilege, and or the patriarchy working in your favor. But, you know, we're not going to get into that right now. Maria, you just put synonyms for interesting in my notes. How dare you?
Wait, what are they? Let me take a look. Grossing, compelling. Ooh, I like compelling or fascinating. I think both of those would work here.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
You're welcome.
How dare, but also thank you. Okay.
Grammar lesson. This is also an educational podcast.
Yeah, it's like have your comedy, have your therapy, have your education. I don't know what you came to this podcast for, but we're going to just give you everything. All right. So all of this like commentary on Shinso and his character, it just goes to say that it is very hard to internalize knowing other people are struggling. Speaking from experience, but like everyone is, and you can't like be mean about it, essentially. And also Izuku says, because he's perfect, that nothing he says is going to make Shinso feel any better. So, and like that, people who don't struggle with this vulnerability and jealousy thing, they don't get that. So they always just try to say stuff to make you feel better. And like, no, just if somebody is struggling, don't like try to comfort them in the way that you think you would be comforted. Just go to therapy. Everybody. I don't care who you are or how quote unquote mentally healthy you are. You just go to therapy. All right.
Yes.
Okay. One more little point on Shinso. Are y'all sure you're not tired of my voice yet?
No, we're not, because you're making amazing points. But also Shinso is a very like multi-layered character, and like the opinions about him are really diverse. We've kind of touched upon that in other episodes, but like he's kind of fascinating. Going back to Maria's little synonyms list.
How dare you? Yes.
You're welcome.
Like Shinso as a character, I bet he could be like his own podcast. Anyway.
Oh, absolutely.
All right. So like rewinding back to the actual episode, when we like flash back to Shinso's time at fucking Nabu Middle School, as the class is like discussing his work, if you look at the femme or feminine presenting kids in his class, they all look more fearful than apprehensive, at least when it comes to the masculine presenting kids, like the boys and the masks. And like, they know what they were doing there by making their reactions ever so slightly differently. And it's like very carefully alluding to the no consent aspect his power could have if he as a person was not good and wanted to be a hero. So like
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, just had another thought.
Yeah. What is your thought? Please interject.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting because like this discussion that Shinso is having with his classmates, all three of them are male, or at least they appear to be male. I'm going to go ahead and assume they are, because I don't think Horikoshi is very good at making trans people. So
yeah. There's
we'll get to that too. We'll get to that too. So I'm just going to go ahead and assume that everyone is cisgender for now. But yeah, they're making all these comments about all the like horrible, nasty shit he could do with his quirk. And Shinso is internalizing all of their comments and being like, oh, they think all that horrible stuff about me. But honestly, those comments say way more about those kids than it does about Shinso.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Good Lord.
Yeah, it also says a lot more about their world and also our world, because our societies suck when it comes to consent and what happens when there is no consent.
Oh yeah,
So-
it parallels really well, and it kind of sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, the world sucks, but whatever.
Yep, everything sucks. And Shinso is just that mirror for that aspect, if you choose to look into it that way. So all
But
of
it
that.
definitely, sorry.
No, go
one
ahead.
more thought.
Yeah.
I didn't write any of this down because when I did the notes, I was very tired. But
Yes.
like going back to the whole, like, you know, you can't worry about what other people think. It really does make it clear how exactly Shinso arrived at that point, even though it isn't always, even though that kind of mindset isn't always helping him. In some ways it is, because it's helping him not to internalize all these comments that people are making about him, that they're actually making about themselves.
Exactly. And it's just a perfect storm for this poor kid. And it just goes right back to all the just systemic stuff that is working together to bring him down. And just to reiterate it, you all can go listen to our bonus episode on Shinso if you want to hear more of our thoughts on all of that sucking.
Yes. Some other aspects of his character that we haven't gone into here.
Yes. All right. So moving along, we're still going to stay on Shinso, but another aspect, like pulling out of character and into like world building. Yes. All right. So this is like, again, all of my text. So it's basically my thoughts about the jolt that Ojiro and Izuku know will like shake him out of it. And like, this is also kind of an Easter egg. So from this point on, we're moving into Easter egg territory. So we may or may not bring up spoilers. Anyway, all right. So knowing what we know now, and I say now as in for those of us caught up on the manga, and you can kind of see it planted in the anime. But right now we know that quirks are like literally woven into a person's soul and their DNA. And how Shinso's quirk basically works is it, I think this is like my headcanon, but he like most likely taps into the subconscious brainwaves that quirk sentience like acts upon and through. So it's possible that there is that a literal physical jolt to the body literally knocks those frequencies out of resonance, if you will. And that just eliminates his psychic hold. So it's just a lot of galaxy brain thinking about the headcanon. That is
Also, I just had a moment. I'm like, how would that affect people who have like ADHD or like neurodivergent?
Ooh,
right?
Yes.
Oh my God. Imagine if Shinso's quirk straight up doesn't work on Denki.
Oh my God. Yes.
I love that. Yeah. Denki is just so far out of neurotypical that it just, okay. I love that.
It just doesn't work.
No, it's beautiful. Oh.
Oh my God.
Oh, I love speculating wildly because we still don't know how his quirk actually works, because fake science, it's like this whole world is also built on real science and fake science at once. Just like all of science fiction, people suspend your disbelief. It's fine, but I want to know. Sure. All right. And so the next point about the jolt, if we can stick to the outline.
Impossible.
Yeah. All right. But basically, like, while Izuku is brainwashed, his like internal dialogue and his like thought processes during that time, he's basically saying that his brain is full of fog, is how it feels to him. And this would actually allow deeper brain activity to come to the forefront and be noticed, like kind of how, I don't know, just think it like if you're daydreaming or disassociating, like stuff going on in the back of your head kind of is now at the front of your head.
Yeah.
So, and like this could mean that the Spectres, aside from gay rainbow space powers, like they have, it could be a signal that they have always been there kind of watching from wherever they are. And we will learn that they have been always there watching. And I cannot wait.
Oh my God.
It basically this brain fog allows them to come forward because he's like literally reaching for the motivation that comes from having everyone counting on him, which is usually distressing for him and like it would be for anyone. But in this moment, it like becomes eustress almost because it allows all the stuff at the back of his mind that will work against this particular quirk to come forward. So
that was beautiful.
I love this quirk.
It is so good. Also, we're going to have to set up yet another bonus episode because I'm suddenly having a lot of thoughts, but this is not the place for them. So
okay. Well, write those thoughts down so you don't forget them.
I will.
All right. So from the jolt and brainwaves, whatever. I am not like a neuroscientist, so everything I'm saying is not correct, probably.
Wild speculation.
Yes. Yep. Do not take medical advice from us other than go to therapy. Anyway, diving fully into manga differences and Easter eggs. So in chapter 33, Izuku says that actually moving his finger to jolt himself out of the brainwashing was all him. But basically something else woke him up to clear the fog enough to use One for All. So like the activation of One for All and like actually using it is the more vague part. Then in chapter 34, All Might also makes it clear that the vision, because that's what they think it is at this point, just like a vision, only worked to clear the fog so Izuku could move his fingers because he was so passionate and because he was searching for that motivation from the people around him. But all of this is to say, it's not actually clear who is activating One for All and who is using his fingers, Izuku or the Spectres. So just sit in that unknowableness with me. It's so uncomfortable. All right. Moving on to fucking Endeavor. In like when he's talking to Shoto, he actually says brothers in the manga and not siblings, as is said in the dub. And like, this is like definitely some sort of plot hole that helped along, spoilers, Dobby's reveal being not surprising or revealing at all.
Just to put that in there, for some reason, I don't think he would consider his daughter for the top place.
Yep, because he's terrible. Fuck him.
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense that he wouldn't mention his daughter at all.
Yep, because he's like
that.
And he can die. All right.
Yep.
Also, like at the very end, I think Shinso has like that character introduction page at the end of one of these chapters, and like Horikoshi pokes fun at himself for naming Shinso as he did. So obviously I did a quick Google search, and like, this is not to say I know any sort of Japanese, but
no, none of us do.
Essentially Shinso sort of translates into mind manipulation between the two, like kanji, I think, between the shin and the so, I think.
Yeah.
Yep. And then Hitoshi means benevolence and or like of equal rank. So it's like a perfect fit for Shinso's character and like his drive and his arc to be benevolent and also equal with his mind manipulation quirk. And sir, you don't need to work so hard at these names.
You know what? I love it though. He tries to turn every single name into some kind of pun or play on words. And I really admire the dedication.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I guess, but also
folks you do the same thing, Missy.
I do it unintentionally.
Oh, I do it full on. I'm not even gonna lie. I have done research on names for my books.
Oh yeah. Everyone with a creative bent does it. But Horikoshi, you can calm down a little bit. Not every kanji needs to line up.
They have to.
I'm
they have to.
it.
That's his hyperfixation.
Okay, fine. If it's his hyperfixation, we will try and stop him. Anyway, moving on to our final discussion point. Once again, we are back to the gay space powers. That is the Spectres.
Yes.
we've already discussed the specters and like how we love them. They are perfect. They are also metaphor for gay. And we've also kind of like discussed how Shinso's ability relates to them, at least from a fan speculation point of view. But basically, I'm going to be doing a lot of spoilers right now. So like skip ahead 15 to 70 seconds. I don't know how long we're going to go on with this, but basically, what is happening in this moment is that Izuku had a vision of the previous 8 One for All users, Toshi included. So the fact that one of the specters looked like Toshi is because it was Toshi's specter. And it is because the previous holders, like spirits or essences or parts of their souls, are still connected to One for All and like tied into that genetic code almost that basically allows the quirk to be passed along and bulked up with each person. And like this soul to quirk connection, it's actually not unique to One for All. So just thinking about that, One for All does have a factor within it that like not even Toshi knows about that will allow them to I phrased it, have a conference because
I mean, basically,
basically.
They called a family meeting.
Yes.
Everyone had to go to the living room and sit down on the couch and have a discussion.
Yep. And some of them are sitting around in their chairs and couches, and some of them are being dramatic and not revealing their faces at first. We will get to it.
Some of them are sitting in the corner facing a wall like a certain someone.
Yes. But also, I don't think it's because they're like a certain someone. I think it's just because that is a thing in anime, like tropes, whatever. But basically, this is all to say that all of these connections and all of like the like brainwave soul connections from Shinso, from One for All, and also that we will eventually see with Star and Stripe whenever the anime gets to that battle.
Oh man. Oof.
We will hopefully see all of it, but most of what One for All does in that astral conference moment in their mental living room, we might see this in season 6, depending on like how they space out the episodes of the war arc, or I should say the first war arc, because the current arc is very stressful. Go read the manga, people. It is so good. And there is so much more room for like speculation than even what is widely available, at least on the TikToks that I have seen.
So much room for activities.
Yeah, so much room for activities in Nicole's galaxy brain. Oh, and finally, like we also see a hint of the connection between the specters, the brain and neuroscience stuff that I completely botched earlier, and Shinso's quirk in season 5. So if you don't want to read the manga, fine, go pay attention to season 5. Yes. Only if you know like how the specters work, like having read the conference arc and going and then watching season 5.
Arc, I'm sorry.
It's what it is. The conference arc, and then actually going back to watch season 5, like all the pieces line up really nicely. So that is all I have about the specters. But like listeners, can you tell I like go galaxy brain whenever anybody mentions Shinso and One for All like together? Oh, it's beautiful.
Well, there's just so much stuff coming out about how quirks work, and they're doing it very interestingly. And they're kind of also touching upon it in Vigilantes, although not in as good of a way. But
yeah, that's true. Like the most recent chapter of Vigilantes touched on it pretty heavily. Chapter 120. Also, Vigilantes, the app's not telling me when the next chapter is coming out, and I'm very mad about that.
Oh dear.
How dare.
You had a lot of feelings, and I was here for it because I was like, I'm not gonna get much done this week.
Also, you poor thing. Also, you were like along for the spoilery ride with me. So
I was just like, whatever. I'm just constantly on the spoiler train. It's fine.
I was gonna say I don't think there's a single spoiler that Maria doesn't know at this point. So
yep.
Pretty much, yeah.
All right. Well, does anybody else have any final comments? So it's not just me talking into eternity on this episode.
Well, thank you for picking up the slack on this episode because clearly Maria and
yeah.
I were not up to it.
Oh, no, you poor things. You were ill. It was my pleasure word vomiting over everything.
Well, it
I
was
was
our
so
pleasure to
happy.
hear you.
I was so happy I didn't have as much to. I knew it was going to be a Shinzo episode, so I was like, the other two will get it. We'll have it. I'm just along for the ride this time.
Yeah, and also like one final thought. This is not spoilery, but as we are recording this, the manga is currently between chapters 344 and 345, and like the connections, y'all. Go catch the fuck up. Go listen to our episodes. Come be a galaxy brain with me because it's a lot and my brain is heavy.
We release those the same day that the chapter drops. They're always a little chaotic, but
oh yeah,
they're fun. They're fun. We love doing them.
Yes. All right. Well, that's all I got.
Same here.
All right.
Woo.
Woo! This has been My Hero Analysis. You'll hear us again soon. And in the meantime, go beyond plus ultra and thirst responsibly. Bye, y'all.
Thanks again for listening. Theme music is The Happy Cowboy by Gary the Canary, remixed by Fern. If you'd like to submit questions, fan art, or bonus episode topics, visit our website at myheroanalysis.com. We're also on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok under @myheroanalysis. And don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. Bye, y'all.